Agribusiness brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Dan, thanks for joining us this morning. Japan, 20 versus 30 when we're talking about months. How important is that?
It's huge importance. Today we're at 20 months of age and under for Japan. We've been there for several years. Boiling it down to the simplest of terms, basically because it has to be verified, only about 20% of our total production is qualified for Japan today on the beef side. We are in a process of negotiating with Japan an agreement to expand that to 30 months of age, and boiling that down, that means that 95% of our production will be eligible for Japan. So you're talking about a huge incremental increase in available products for Japan, which is traditionally our highest value market and probably our highest margin market as well. So, you know, timing-wise on this, there's a very defined process that the Japanese follow to change their domestic rulemaking, and we're well down the road on that process. We're probably in the last segment of that negotiating process, which deals with negotiating the specifics of the import protocol into Japan. And then hopefully we're almost there now. Our best guess estimate is early Q1 2013. We're hopeful that we'll be shipping 30 months of age and down beef. So just to give you an idea, in 2003, pre-BSE, we exported about $1.6 billion to Japan in beef. Now, of course, cattle prices were lower back then, so you can imagine the volume was much higher. But to give you an idea today, at 20 months and down, we're going to be right at $1 billion in exports to beef, and that's at 20 months of age. So we can easily blow away the previous record of $1.6 billion if we can get to 30 months of age. And there's a lot of individual margin opportunities, and I'll give you one example, beef tongues. It's a specialty item in Japan. It's worth about $7 a pound in Japan, and we're well under $2 a pound here in the US. So that one item, the beef tongue, adds in excess of $15 a head for the producer here.
Well, what's the difference to Japan in those 10 months?
Well, this all dates back to the BSE issue in 2003 and the risks that go along with that based on age. You know, scientifically, I think you could argue that even at 30 months, from our standpoint, it's a non-issue, but it's taken a while to convince the Japanese of that. But we're there now. The first few years after BSE in Japan, it was top of mind in all the news stories. It's a non-issue today. I think they're convinced that the safety issue they're comfortable with it, and it's time to move forward, and that's what we're focused on.
Well, if you think about what's being done not only at Kansas State but some other universities as far as research goes, I think the U.S. has gotten ahead of the game in that, don't you?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, let's face it, for the most part, take politics aside, if you look at the safety side, the reputation of the U.S. industry is by far #1 in terms of safety of meat products. And we have to do a better job of marketing that internationally. We for the most part, we're seen as the gold standard in safety, and we need to market that.
We're going to take a quick break if we can, and when we come back, I'd like to finish up talking about other foreign markets.
Great, thank you.
Agribusiness brought to you by Tarwater Farm and Home. Come on by, we'll treat you like family.
Dan, thanks for staying with us this morning. I'm not for sure, but you could probably answer this question better than I. No one else in the world can keep up with the demand for high quality protein that the U.S. can. Is that correct?
That's exactly right. Especially when you talk about high quality beef, grain-fed beef. Most of our global competition is grass-fed. Australia is a good example, Brazil is another. And the grain-fed that you do have a lot of times is short-fed, so it's really not comparing apples to apples. So yes, to answer your question, high quality grain-fed beef, we're the leader.
Well, and you look at it and you think the Kansas soybean farmer, soybean meal that goes into that helps keep input costs down, which allows the Kansas beef rancher to continue to put on those two-pound daily gains.
Yep, that's exactly right. And let's face it, the places that have the ability to supply low cost, whether it's grass or grain, are the people that have the input source. and they don't have to import it. So, you know, where's it going to be? It's North and South America for the most part. Australia on the grass-fed, when they have good rains, they have ample supply of feed. When they don't, they're in trouble. But they have, you know, they have to import their grain. So without a doubt, the people that have the grain, you know, in their backyard are by definition the most efficient producers in the world, and that's by far the U.S.
Well, you look at genetics nowadays in the beef industry. We're producing more with less.
Right.
Which also helps. I mean, it helps keep input costs down. You don't get into that food versus fuel, you know, food versus food type debate as far as using grain stock to feed cattle and things. We're doing more with less.
Yeah, and I think, you know, you look at the example of, you know, going from 7 billion people in the world to 9 billion in the next, call it 30 years, we're going to have to do more of that. We're going to have to become more efficient globally. And I think the U.S. sets the standard there because we are already the low-cost producers, and we got to continue to be efficient. And but you know, you look at a lot of these places around the world that as their economies improve and as their population grows, where are they going to get their food from in general, and more specifically what we're interested in, the red meat protein. And I think the U.S. is first on that list.
And let's touch a little bit, if we can. We've got about a minute and a half left here together. Let's touch a little bit. The pork industry continues to grow here in the state of Kansas. Pork also plays a major role in getting out a high quality protein around the world also.
Without a doubt, yep. And to give you an example, on the beef side, about 14% of the U.S. beef is exported. On the pork side, it's about 28%. So you can already see the demand you know, around the world for pork is increasing faster. And part of that's to do with probably with price, but as these economies emerge, beef will catch up as well. But no doubt, pork globally is had dramatic growth, and that we see that continuing as well.
Poultry kind of lagging a little bit behind, but
no.
okay.
Well, I wouldn't say poultry is lagging. They're also seeing dramatic growth as well. So you really have to add to three. You know, some people don't consider poultry a red meat, but if you look at, you know,
well, we're talking about protein sources,
protein
right?
in general.
Right.
All three have potential globally going forward.
Is there a website people can kind of come and look at and kind of see what you guys are doing?
Yeah, without a doubt, yeah. www.usmef.org is our website, and check it out. There's a lot going on, but you know, as much as, like I said, you know, in some previous interviews, we had world record growth last year in exports. We had 6.1 billion in pork exported in 2011 and 5.3 billion on beef. While it's a record, we think it's just the start. The potential going forward is even bigger.